All right, let's call this meeting to order. We're good there. And would we do roll call, please?
Browning?
Here?
Copeland?
Present.
Forbes?
Present.
Gale?
Here.
Nash?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay, we go move on to approval of the minutes from the July 7th, 2021 meeting. I'll need a motion to approve our minutes from the July 7th, 2021.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, is there any discussion or any corrections to the minutes? Being none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. We need motion for the approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion on the approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting? Being none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The agenda is approved. We're now at public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to address us other than the two issues that are on the agenda? Any others? Second time, anyone else who wants to speak other than what's on the agenda? And third and final time, is there anyone that wants to make public comment?
What is being
This
voted
is on anything other than what we have on the agenda tonight.
Right.
So we will have time to speak on the agenda items. This is just public comment. I need a motion to close the public comments
No,
section.
you don't.
No, you don't?
Nope.
We just close it.
It's, yep,
We don't have to agree.
it's next.
Okay, it's closed. There'll be something there. This brings us to me reading a number of things here. Let me read this before we get started. The function of the board is to provide zoning flexibility. The action of the board can be an interpretation, which involves an interpretation of the zoning code text or a zoning district boundary. We may also issue a variance, which is an appeal to vary from the strict application of the zoning code. The meeting is videotaped. It is important that only one person speak at a time, and the audience observe respect for the speakers. When the appeal in which you are interested is called, please come forward to the podium and allow the board a moment to review the material, after which you may give your name and address to the secretary. After the appellate's presentation, anyone interested in the appeal may come forward, give his or her name and address to the secretary. Please make sure your comments are brief and to the point. All questions should be directed to the board and not to the appellant. The board will discuss the appeal, vote, and continue to the next appeal. An affirmative vote of 2/3 of the board shall be necessary to decide a favor of the appeal. The action of the board is final. The only relief is through the courts. Please be advised that use and dimensional variances expire in 6 months from the date of the meeting. Okay, our first one, right? Are we moving on? Okay, it's been a while. Case J21-0094. This is a public hearing for a waiver on separation distance from a retail marijuana establishment for 2301 North Michigan. And do we have someone who's going to present? Okay, step up. Name, address for us.
My name is Randall Seba. I'm with Jars Holdings. My address is 1601 Elm Drive, Troy, Michigan, 48098. I'm just here to ask for this waiver and variance. We already have a site in Saginaw that we're starting construction on that we have This will be our second site in Saginaw, and we already have 10 plus across Michigan open and operating. We're a great company to work for. We have tons of employees. We offer 24-hour surveillance, security. We do a lot of community engagement and get a lot of people involved in the community. We also have a parking agreement at 602 Kronk Avenue, which is also owned by the building owner. So our facility meets all the parking requirements. We have not closed on the property yet because of the pending on BZA approval, but this makes sense because it's a lot of tax dollars to the city and income for both the residents and the city itself. So just asking for the approval here.
Okay, and that is located at 2301 North Michigan, is that correct?
Yes, yes. There's a site that just got some kind of, that received the SLU approval at 2205 North Michigan. And, we don't want to have to rush, construction, and, we want to do it the right way the first time, make the building look beautiful, and that's kind of holding us back right now.
Okay. Is there any,
No, yeah,
Go ahead.
so you sit down.
he's done.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak on this, on case J210094, reference the retail marijuana establishment 2301 North Michigan? Is there anyone else that wants to make comments about that? Please come forward right up to the podium for me, please. Start by stating your name and your address for me, please.
My name is Wade Brown. My address is 610 Kronk Avenue.
Okay?
And I'm up here just, against that.
Okay?
The reason I'm up against it is because the parking lot that they trying to put is at my back door.
Mm-hmm.
I've got young kids. I got a grandkid that's in the 3rd grade. I don't want him around none of that. And like I said, it's at my back door.
Okay. Okay.
And then you got a daycare just not too far from there.
Mm-hmm.
You got a liquor store across the street from where they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see why the need of having that in the neighborhood.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you very much for your comments. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward?
Hello, and thank you for being here today, because I know we've canceled a couple times. But my husband and I here, Eugene and
Oh,
Jean
I'm sorry. We need to
Oliveras.
start with your name
Oh,
and
Jean
address.
Oliveras.
And address.
Our address is 65 Benton, Saginaw, Michigan,
Okay.
48602.
Okay.
But we have an apartment house that we've had rental for at least 30 years. And I'm not for this location because of the fact that that's a horrendously busy intersection. When we visit our apartment house, we can barely get across the street half the time. And the fact that I did look up some things as far as placement for marijuana facilities, there is a 1,000-foot rule where they're not supposed to be within a drug-free zone. There is a daycare within 500 feet of actually both of the locations that are to come. And like the previous person said, there's a liquor store on the corner and there's a bar right across the street from that. So unless they change something, I do have information that I looked at in regard to opening a dispensary, and it says your building must be 1,000 feet away from liquor stores, other dispensary, and drug-free zones such as schools or daycares. So I'm concerned about that. They did hit it when it was missing Stone School. So I'm basically not for that. And like I said, I do have, actually, I looked and pinpointed, I did Google Maps, and they are not going along with, unless things have changed since 2020, they should not be located there within 1,000 feet of a drugs-free zone, liquor stores, or bars. So that's my concern. Plus, they're wanting to put 2 in that location within 500 feet of each other, and I'm not for that. Would you like this information, anybody? Because I did make a copy for you. Nope,
How many copies do you have?
just one, but I mean,
Okay.
that's enough
Set it
for
over here
someone
to the
to know.
secretary's table for me, please.
Thank you.
I'm not against people having that or smoking it, it's their right. But like I said, I'm looking at what the rules or the laws are, and the fact that they're trying to put 2 into such a small location, and that is a horrendously busy intersections. That's the other concern I have. And there's homes not too far from there. Okay?
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Please come forward. This is still the public hearing on J 210094, reference 2301 North Michigan. Sir, your name? Matt?
Paul Allen LeBrenz, 2301 North Michigan Avenue. I'm the property owner. One of the reasons that I decided to sell this property was I'm getting more towards retirement age, but also I wasn't able to keep up with the improvements on the property. With jars coming in, I had an extensive talk with the owners about security, the neighborhood, taking pride in the neighborhood. They definitely want to work with the neighborhood, put up what I felt was more cameras than necessary, but I guess that's up to the city how they wanted that. But I do believe that this construction project will add to the beauty of the neighborhood, will also make it a much more secure neighborhood. As far as traffic goes, I've been there for over 30 years. I don't have any problem with entering or exiting out of that property. The neighbors may have a problem coming directly across, but if you talk about cross traffic, things like that, that is a one-way. It's only a left-hand turn. So if you're coming northbound, you're gonna make a left-hand turn. If you're going back northbound again, you'll make a left-hand turn. Most people will take Kronk in the back. Also, as far as the residents in the back, the property that's back there, it's my understanding that they're gonna have a fence up around that property. As far, that's the code that I believe that has to be had at that point.
Yep.
All right?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. And is there anyone else that would like to speak on this location of 2301 North Michigan, 23?
I
You've
forgot to mention
But you already had your turn, ma'am. I don't know if I can bring them back up. I cannot. Sorry. I'm sorry. Is there anyone else? Is there anyone else? Sure.
The address of that apartment building.
Okay, come on up.
My name
State
is
your
Eugene
name
Oliveris,
and address.
2302 North Michigan. I'm the owner of the apartment building.
Okay,
It's right across the street.
okay.
The traffic, like he said, is clearly very busy. Okay. It's a rental house. It's a rooming house for older gentlemen. Okay. So a dispensary across the street from that is not adequate, for these people that live there. I've owned the house over 40 years now, the building. Okay, so I don't think it will enhance the neighborhood at all, having a dispensary in that area. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Third and final time, anyone else that wants to speak? The public hearing, reference J 210094. That's the retail marijuana establishment at 2301 North Michigan. Being none, do we close the public hearing with a motion? Okay.
Motion.
Second.
Motion to close.
Motion closed has been seconded. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Not on the motion, okay. Is it our time to deliberate now?
No, so you close that and then make a new motion to
Okay.
approve, and then you have
All right.
discussion.
So we're going to vote on the motion?
Vote on the motion to close.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So it is closed. Now to discuss the issue here, we will need a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve,
Second.
and we have a second. A motion to approve, reference the retail marijuana establishment, 2301 North Michigan. And is there any further discussion or reasons?
There is for me. One of the things I was looking at, we have been looking at this for a while, and I was hoping to at least see on the application where the project duration, we don't have any of that information. Can you hear me?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. One of the things I was looking for when looking at this application was the project duration and where they are. And so when we look at the special variance that was provided for 2205 North Michigan, it was in regards to that they were actually tearing down and building all the way up. This particular location is the location that has that benefit. And for me, it would help me if I understood the duration of this project, because if it is just a facelift of the building, for me, that is not tearing down, building up, which will be an access financial need or issue to this establishment. So for me, I would not see the approval of this variance.
You can ask a question.
Oh,
if
I
you want.
can?
Yeah.
Okay, when is,
Question for you? Come on up. Do you have a time frame?
We plan to start construction immediately, as soon as SEA gives us the approval. So, I mean, our timeline, I mean, we do things really quick. Like I said, we have 10 up and running. We have 5 in construction right now. We have another one in your city currently in construction. So, I mean, I don't see it being any longer than 180 days.
When you say construction, are you tearing down the old building?
You know what? That information is, let me see if that was actually given to me.
in our plans, it wasn't.
Okay.
We weren't given.
I mean, we have a site plan approval.
Looks like I approved it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yep. Would you like to?
I did go over the plans with JARS. We had the architect and the engineer in. There's going to be substantial construction to this. It's not just going to be slap some paint on. It's not going to be lipstick on a pig at all. There's a lot of work going to be done. Talked about an entire roof expansion, outside upgrades, definitely infrastructure upgrades. So the sewer, the entire sewer system in the back parking lot needs to be redone for drainage and things like that. That's going to assist with Kronk. If you've ever been on Kronk before, when it rains quite a bit, it floods very easily because the drainage system there is a little messed up. So they're planning on upgrading infrastructure, roof, all the HVAC with the appropriate vac systems, and there's it's a complete, pretty much a complete gut on the inside.
Yeah.
And redone. It's going to look really nice. Landscaping, trees, entire lighting around the project to light the neighborhood up a little bit more to get the appropriate lighting that the city wants for the parking lots and things like that. So they have followed all the guidelines, and I can assure you that the architectural plans look very, very nice.
And the cameras are going to cover 360 degrees?
360 degrees.
Okay, thank you.
Question?
Just to make sure that I'm clear reading the report, so 2205 they have their paperwork in place and they're already moving in the direction of getting their license and opening up, correct?
They have a provisional license and they did get site plan approval and they got a variance in July.
Okay. And, so,
About the construction.
so have any other variances been approved of this kind, and what was the distance that was allowed for those variances?
The first.
Yeah,
This is the first.
only other
No,
variance
that
has
other one
come
was the
before
first.
the Board of Appeals.
Okay.
This is the second.
Okay. And, in terms of the distance to any daycare, the liquor store, the bar, are any of those distances an issue?
Not in our ordinance.
Yeah, I would have to see what was,
So I'm not really exactly sure what this is, but according to our ordinance, all of the setbacks are met. This is, I don't know where that exactly is from,
so. and-
but
and
it's not our
I pulled-
ordinance.
When that comment was made, I pulled up the state law real quick. And the state law, what was approved by the voters in 2018, the only setback that establishes is, can't locate in a residential area, residentially zoned area, and, can't locate within 1,000 feet of a pre-existing public or private school, unless the municipality adopts an ordinance actually reducing that. So locally, municipalities can reduce that. We did not. So we kept 1,000-foot setback for schools. I don't believe we have setbacks with regard to daycares.
No, or liquor stores.
Change the game. That would change
And
the
this
game.
is-
That liquor store is
And
very
this
seldom
is,
used now.
well, it's still there, again.
Yeah.
Those issues on the setbacks, would that have been brought up at the
Planning commission.
Yes.
planning commission? So-
Plans.
So the
as
planning
submitted
commission
were-
has reviewed it and have okayed the site.
Correct.
Yes.
The issue that we're having, though, is that we have two sites that cannot be licensed through the state marijuana law because they have to be complete before they can be licensed. Is that correct?
So, yes, so the issue is they can get a provisional license and start going through the plans, but essentially within our 500-foot setback, which was created by the city. That is not a state
Right.
requirement. The city required that setback. And whichever one, because these are within 500 feet, whichever one were to finish first would then knock the other one out, and they would not be eligible to be completely licensed unless they get a variance
Right.
from this board.
Well, 20,
I see.
And at this point, 2205, the other one.
has a variance.
The variance.
That's right.
And their variance was looking at the financial setback that would happen if they were to tear down, rebuild, where this is a standing structure that has had 7 to 8 months to actually begin the work on this facility, and as of yet have not had any work done to this building, when they have technically had the advantage because they had a standing facility to do the work.
Well, they didn't have a variance yet.
Well, but they can technically, because with the special use that they received in March.
Wouldn't having an architect come in, drawing up the plans, isn't that, I mean, we're not breaking ground, but that's a lot of investment when you start having them come in and they've actually got theirs, they've been to the planning commission prior to this
No,
one. Or
the
not?
other one was
The other
prior.
The other one was prior on this one, so I think they put a lot of work in there. I think they've got some investment in that, just from what we're hearing here about the permits and the work that's already been done before the scene.
But-
The other one, to this day, I've not seen a shovel.
But I think also with zoning, we can't make any decisions
No.
on
No,
anything
no,
financial.
no, we can't, no.
Not at all.
So it's
Money
just on
money's
the-
not an issue in it.
No. Yeah, so I have, no.
Can I ask one more?
Yeah, oh, sure.
I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. So basically, whoever gets ready to open first is the one who's gonna get the license, correct? From the state?
Yes, except that now the second location has a variance, so if they are able to open first, the second one can still open. Because they have a
They already
variance.
have a variance.
But if they open first, and these other building does not have a variance, they cannot open. Does that make sense? Did I say that?
Either way, they're both going to be able to open.
If they're
Yes.
both-
If they complete
If
first.
we grant the variance, yes.
Okay.
So then, will this be the precedence that we,
Yeah,
as the
that's
Board of Appeals on zoning, will create that at this point, you come to the Board of Appeals, and we'll just give you a variance
Yeah.
because it's and that's the only reason why, where I'm looking at, from March, if this was we talk about the community, supporting the community, giving back to the community. Since March, there's been 7 to 8 months for the community to see some work and to see some progress from a facility that had a standing structure that could have done the work rather than a facility that was tearing down and rebuilding. That's the only way I'm thinking about it is, I'm not thinking now, as you said, Dr. Nash, it's not about the money to us.
No, you know, I'm saying you just can't make a decision on it.
Right, I'm not making a decision on the money, but in this case, this facility could have done the work, and we could have, even if they started 3 months ago.
Yeah.
I see the
and
logic.
I think there's been discussion before about the concept of setting a precedent. I think each time a variance application comes before you, you review those on an individual basis with regard to this potential for undue hardship or exceptional circumstances, and the criteria in 153.586 and 153.588, and you look at those with regard to each individual situation.
In July, we were aware that they were gonna
Yes, sir.
ask for a variance.
Yes, sir.
And they have put in quite a bit of money. They didn't have to start building, you know.
That's correct, but to me, it would show to the community, we talk about giving to the community, that if I lived in that residence, in that neighborhood, and to see this, and they're moving building, that may have, because tonight, hearing from the community doesn't want it, they don't want to. So, that, another portion of mine is, where has been the community buy-in as well? So there's a couple things for me, so even however we vote, I still won't get it because I'm just one vote, but that's my reasoning and why I would vote no.
Just what I would say about it, try to build something right now in this environment with the supply chain. You have to have everything lined up. Just like a good example is out on State Street with the Jolt Credit Union.
Oh, yeah.
I think they've been doing that for 2 or 3 years, 2 years, because of the supply chain. You gotta get everything lined up.
And from their own words, they can get this up quick. So because they just told me they would be able to get this up quick, I wouldn't be able to look at that reason.
Within reason, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're not concerned with timeframes.
We're not,
No.
We are not concerned with timeframes.
So I know this is my first meeting, I shouldn't talk so much, but
Please.
in reviewing the standards, so, location, size, and character that will be in harmony and appropriate and orderly development of the surrounding neighborhood. Proposed use will be of a nature that will make vehicular and pedestrian traffic not more hazardous than is normal for a district involved. The parking lot's gonna be behind, not across Michigan. There's not gonna be people walking across. The location, size, intensity, size, layout, and periods of operation as such proposed use will be designated to eliminate possible a nuisance emanating therefore. The location and height of buildings or structures and the location, nature, and height of walls and fences will be such that the proposed use will not interfere or discourage with appropriate development. So I know that this site's gonna look really nice. They all look really nice. That's the whole point, right? They're supposed to be approachable and an improvement on the neighborhood. So I guess that part doesn't worry me. The other location worries me more in terms of traffic problems. I actually think that this is a preferred location if we were to look at the problems it's gonna cause with people, potential accidents and things like that. So I feel like just going through those helps me. And the fact that we're not setting a precedent. 500 feet to 130 feet is a huge change. But as long as we're not gonna be held to that in the future, I feel like that makes a big impact on my thoughts about this.
Any other discussion? Before we vote, any other discussion? Okay, we've already had the motion and seconded. Do we do a roll call vote or just a show? So all in favor signify by
I
aye.
would do a roll call. And we state reasoning for this, Jamie, as well.
Oh, so, okay.
Okay, so let's,
For your approval or denial. whichever. Okay,
we'll do roll call vote.
Chair Browning,
I'm voting aye. This is, I think this is a hardship on the business owner that has already invested, and we've already issued the neighboring one for the same reason, so that's why I'm voting yes.
good. Board Member Copeland,
I would vote nay, and my reasoning would be the fact that because we have already voted a variance for a facility, we are also looking at increasing the nature, possible vehicular and pedestrian traffic to be more hazardous.
Board Member Forbes.
Yay. Because based on my readings of the standards of judging, there is nothing that concerns me.
Board Member Gale.
Aye. Reason?
Mm-hmm.
I see an improvement in the neighborhood, to be honest.
Okay. Board Member Nash.
I'm aye. It's all within the state law and our guidelines.
Okay, the motion passed.
Okay. And do I have to, that public hearing's already been closed, so. Okay, so it has passed the variance. You bet. Thank you. We now move on to our case J210096, public hearing on a waiver on separation distance from a retail marijuana establishment for 1215 Court Street. That's formerly 110 South Mesa. And do we have a presenter who's going to present on that one?
Hello, I'm Trevor Wisniewski, 2804 Orchard Lake Road, Suite 208, Kego Harbor, Michigan. I'm the president of Great Lakes Natural Remedies. We're a Michigan-based cannabis company. Our main facility is just located just on the other side of the city of Saginaw in Spalding Township at the old Timber Town Bowling Alley, where we have a large grow and manufacturing processing facility, and our dispensary is going to be opening within a week there. We also have other dispensaries around the state. Tonight I'm seeking a variance from the marijuana ordinance separation distance. Specifically, we were granted our special use permit in December of 2020 to allow us the zoning to build and operate a retail establishment. At that time, we were 500 feet away from every other, nobody else was licensed around us 500 feet. In addition, we were granted our marijuana license from the city clerk in February. But then in March, the Planning Commission granted another company a special use permit 1 block away from us at 1321 Court Street, and it was 233 feet from us. And they had not had their special use permit first. We were. And in the licensing documents, there is a section about zoning compliance, and us and several other groups read that we had to have our special use permits before we got a license. That's why we were first to get ours in December, ahead of a lot of other people like Loom and Green Peak and me got ours all first. There is, I know we talked about precedents, but Lewis Meeks Group, the Saginaw Retail Partners, was granted the zoning variance earlier, a few months ago that you had mentioned. They were caught in this same exact position where they were granted their special use permit first, and then another company, Jars, came in second and got theirs. So that's why they came in to get a variance. Our project is new construction. We've already started construction, and there is some environmental issues there. This is a $1 million project that's going up in the city, brand new build. It's going to improve the neighborhood, beautify everything around there. It's going to be a great location, and we're excited to be in the city. I do have another location that's going up on Brockway and Gratiot, and I've also arranged with business owners there where I am actually going to be rehabbing the building on the other side of Hamilton Bakery and the one across the street next to Young Realty to improve that neighborhood, to help, the local community and try to get some more businesses in there. So we're actually investing in more than just our dispensary there. So I have two projects. That is also a little over $1 million project alone on Gratiot. So a lot of money coming into the city, and I requesting the variance, 500 feet is referenced in the marijuana ordinance. We would like the approval from the board to be able to operate ours location within 500-foot distance of another marijuana establishment. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak on this location at 1215 Court Street, formerly 110 South Mason? This is public hearing for the case of J210096. Is there anyone else? Third and final time, is there anyone else then? Come on forward.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is John Kane. I represent the owners of the building across the street from the site at 1210 Court Street. It's called the Court Street Building. It's not the theater, it's the middle part of that building. Jane and Ken Catter are the owners. They've owned it for many decades. So I apologize that I don't know marijuana law very well. So I've been listening and trying to sort out exactly where everything is standing here. And I think I have a pretty decent understanding of the issue. One term I've heard tossed around a lot is variance. Are we really talking about a variance or a waiver here?
A variance.
A variance, okay. Well, I did pull the city code, and I'm looking at, I just want to make sure I understand and maybe get a little feedback from you on how this works. Section 153.586 governs variances. Is that the section we're operating under?
You really can't ask questions, sorry.
I'm sorry?
You really can't ask questions.
Okay, well, if it is, it says variances right there.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to wing it here and hope I'm right. The Board of Appeals on Zoning has the power to authorize upon an appeal a variance from the strict application of any provision of this chapter where by reason of exceptional irregularity, narrowness, shallowness, shape, or area of a specific piece of property, or by reason of exceptional topographic conditions or other extraordinary exceptional conditions of such property, the strict application of the provisions of this chapter would result in peculiar or exceptional practical difficulties to or unnecessary undue hardship upon the owner of such property. Now, it sounds like those are the terms that have been tossed around tonight: exceptional practical difficulties, unnecessary undue hardship. But it seems to me those are all characteristics of the parcel: irregularity, narrowness, shallowness, shape, area. I don't see anything in there allowing a variance for separation distance. It just doesn't seem to be within your authority to grant a variance, so I'm wondering where that came from. You guys can't tell me, but you might want to think about it. I don't know the answer. Hopefully you do. And the Board of Zoning Appeals shall adhere to the following criteria in determining whether practical difficulties and or unnecessary hardships exist. And so they have a list of criteria here. The first one is if the property owner complies with the provisions of this chapter, that is, maintains the separation distance, he or she can secure no reasonable return from or make no reasonable use of his or her property. I haven't heard anybody explain why there can be no reasonable return or use of this property absent a marijuana establishment. And these elements in subsection B, and that was B1, are conjunctive, right? You have to have all of them. They're not disjunctive. It's not like, well, maybe this or maybe that. All of these have to be present. And I haven't heard any evidence that there's no reasonable return or no reasonable use of this property, which I've heard it's under construction. I was just there. It's flat as a pancake. I didn't see any building on it. Looks like a good parking lot to me. Second element, the hardship results from the application of this chapter to his or her property rather than from some other factor. I think that's probably met here, I don't know. The hardship of which he or she complains is suffered merely by his or her property directly and not by others. Not sure if that's met here or not. The hardship is not the result of his or her own actions. Now, I wonder, I don't know all the details about the background of this case, but wasn't the sequencing of the special use permit application and the licensing application the owner's doing, and not yours and not the neighborhood's? It sounds like the hardship might be the result of his or her own actions. I can't say for sure. I'm asking you guys to look into it. So, specific variances, this is next subsection C. Specific variances which the Board of Appeals on Zoning may grant, subject to conformance with the criteria delineated in B, include the following: height, yard, spaces, and area, and then additions to buildings. Again, no listing for a specific variance based on separation distances. So I just wonder what your authority is to do this. You can't act without authority. You're an unelected body. All due respect. The city council enacted an ordinance regarding marijuana establishments that says in section 153-602, purpose, beginning of the statute, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it. Marijuana businesses have demonstrated a strong demand for storefront spaces and other business locations. It has been observed that without separation distances, this particular use will concentrate in clusters. In order to limit the intensity and density of this use, and to recognize that separation distances are desired from sensitive uses, e.g. schools, churches, parks, substance use disorder programs, etc., special regulation of marijuana establishments has been deemed necessary. This is the final sentence. It is the intent of these provisions, this marijuana regulation ordinance, to ensure that quality of life is not impaired, neighborhood character is preserved, commercial retail viability and variety is enhanced and encouraged, and the stability of the industrial area is maintained. So the city council, the elected representatives of the city, have deemed that concentrating these establishments too intensely, such as within more than 500 feet, will not preserve the character of the neighborhood, will not preserve commercial retail viability and variety, and encourage that. And I think that they had good reason to do that. I don't think you have good reason to gainsay their decision. So I would stand here in opposition to this variance or waiver or whatever it happens to be, because I think the city council has made a decision that this is an appropriate separation distance. I don't think it should be overturned, absent, I think, a more detailed showing that all the elements necessary have been proven. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak? Anyone else to speak on this third and final time? Is there anyone else to speak on this public hearing, case number J21-0096, reference to 1215 Court Street? Being none, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion closed.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded on the public hearing. I think we now vote on the public, no, the motion. We're going to vote on this. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and public meeting is closed. For discussion purposes, I need a motion in the affirmative for the variance on case J21-0096, reference the retail marijuana establishment for 1215 Court Street. Need a motion?
So moved.
Support.
And it's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Go ahead.
So I'm curious about the location on the lot, where the building's gonna be, and how big it will be, what it will look like, to get an idea whether or not it will jive with the neighborhood. It's a beautiful stretch right there, and I think it would be nice to know a little more information.
It was already approved by the planning commission.
Oh, okay.
It meets all of
already
the
approved.
Okay, well,
requirements.
so they're obviously fine with those.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
They meet all the
My first meeting.
requirements. Yep, they've met all the requirements. Any other questions?
The first speaker did say something about environmental reasons. Is that what you said? There was an environmental something going on with the property, which has caused a delay?
Yes, we found out through this process that back in, I want to say the 50s, there was a gas filling station located in that area, and a retail storefront. So combined, it is right kind of where our footprint of the building would be. And right now, that's, we started to lay footings and start the project. MDL Construction, a local builder in Bay City, is doing, we always try to work with local people, and they're doing this construction there. And their projected time frame, just so you know, they want to get this wrapped up in 3 months, if time permitting with supply chain and everything else. I think that's very aggressive, but that's what I've been told, so.
Okay.
And I guess my other question would be to you, if it is within our authority to overrule the 500-foot, if you have any comments about what one of our speakers said.
Yes, so the marijuana section of the city's zoning code contains a provision that specifically allows for the seeking of a variance from the setback requirements. So that's where the authority is contained. It's not within the variance section of the zoning code, it's within the marijuana section of the zoning code itself. I believe it's specifically section 153.606.
153.606?
Yes, 153.606. It's referenced in your
All right.
communications.
Any other discussion? Okay,
I just had
make a motion, go ahead.
just had a question for staff. How did the address change? Or was that, because it was on Mesa,
That
now
was a
it's on
desire
Court?
by the,
Oh, pardon me?
that was a desire by the developer
Okay,
to
so
change the address.
Being on the corner, he could have had either one.
either one, yeah, goes on to court, maybe, yeah. So I took to court.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Once again, we'll move to a roll call vote. Each board member will have to give their vote and a reason for that. Roll call.
All right. Chair Browning.
I'm going to vote in affirmative on this. They've established trying to get that done, and once again, we have a situation where another one has come in and could very likely finish before they build this new building. So I think it's reasonable to allow the variance.
Board Member Copeland.
I vote in the affirmative, showing that the developers did have plans and ran into environmental issues, which did cause a delay in their plan, which is due to the property and not merely of their own doing.
Member Forbes.
I vote in affirmative as well. Based on the standard for judging, I see no issues with this project.
Member Gale.
I vote affirmative. I feel it's going to be an improvement in the neighborhood. Anything to make the court theater look nicer.
Board Member Nash.
I vote in the affirmative. I think the property just got delayed due to environmental issues, and it's already been approved once before.
All right, that motion is approved.
Okay, motion's approved. We're now moving on to old business. Is there any old business to come before this new board? Any old business?
I just wanted to point out that we're taking before the planning commission amendment to the Board of Appeals on zoning within the current zoning ordinance to change the membership 6 to 5. So that would mean then that a quorum would represent 3 instead of 4.
Okay, and we can do that?
Well, the planning
I
commission
know
is
the boss is sitting
considering
back
it,
there.
and then it'll
I
go
am.
before the city.
Well,
Is
what
it
are they
because we
gonna
can't
do?
get enough people to join?
Decrease membership on this board from 6 to 5, so then
I
a
have
quorum
no
would be
problem with that.
3.
Three, okay.
I know I can do that.
So we're going to be the only members this 5 year?
There's also 2 alternate member seats
Okay.
that will stay.
It'll take a bit to get there because it has to go
Yeah.
before planning commission. And that's because it's an amendment to the zoning code that's introduced to council and laid over for 30 days instead of 14, so.
Any other old bit or old? I have been struggling all meeting not to say Madam Clerk, I'm telling you. I have been fighting this. Madam Secretary over here, she's our secretary, but I've been wanting to say
I am
Madam.
actually the clerk for the board, so.
Okay, you are the clerk.
Madam Clerk.
So I'm referring to the, never mind. Never mind. My well season's right. That's right.
It's really the
All
first
right.
time
I
I've
need
been
a
in and
motion
Pat
to
was in the
adjourn.
chair.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we're adjourned.